The champagne bubbles caught the light from the crystal chandelier as 28 family members and friends gathered in the private dining room of Le Bernardin to celebrate my mother's 55th birthday. The elegant French restaurant hummed with sophisticated conversation and the gentle clink of silverware against fine china, the perfect backdrop for Eleanor Chen's milestone celebration. I sat at the far end of the mahogany table, quietly cutting my duck confit while my family performed their usual theater of accomplishment. My older brother David commanded attention near Mom's right side, regaling everyone with stories of his latest merger as managing partner of the city's most prestigious law firm. My sister Michelle held court from the middle of the table, describing her husband's cardiology practice and their recent acquisition of a vacation home in the Hamptons. Meanwhile, I occupied my traditional role as the family afterthought, the daughter who never quite lived up to the Chin family standards of success. The irony wasn't lost on me. In my simple black dress and minimal jewelry, I looked like exactly what my family thought I was: struggling, directionless, the disappointment child who couldn't get her life together at 31. What they didn't know was that the phone in my purse contained banking apps showing a net worth of $347 million across 17 different investment accounts. But tonight wasn't about cryptocurrency fortunes or digital asset portfolios or the blockchain technology company I'd built from my apartment over the past 8 years. Tonight was about celebrating Eleanor Chen, the retired bank executive who had spent 3 decades climbing the corporate ladder and raising children she was proud of. Well, most of them anyway. And then the board voted unanimously to approve the acquisition, David was saying, his voice carrying the confidence of someone who had never doubted his place in the world. 6 months of due diligence, but we structured a deal that saved our client $40 million in regulatory compliance costs. Polite applause rippled around the table. Mom beamed with maternal pride, raising her champagne flute in salute to her successful son. "That's my David," she declared, her voice warm with satisfaction. "Always thinking 3 moves ahead. That's the Chin way: strategic thinking, careful planning, building something that lasts." More applause. More validation of the family success narrative. "And Michelle," Mom continued, turning to my sister, "tell everyone about Kevin's expansion plans." Michelle practically glowed under the attention. "Kevin's opening a 3rd location for his practice. The demand for specialized cardiac care has been incredible. We're also looking at investing in a medical device startup that could revolutionize heart surgery." Brilliant. Mom's enthusiasm was infectious. Innovation, growth, always moving forward. That's what I'm talking about. That's what success looks like in this family. I took a sip of my sparkling water and checked my phone discreetly. A notification from my portfolio management app showed that CryptoVault had gained another $3.2 million in value overnight. The blockchain security platform I'd developed had become the industry standard for protecting digital assets, but my family had no idea their struggling daughter was worth more than everyone else at the table combined. "Natalie," Aunt Susan's voice cut through my thoughts. I looked up to find Mom's sister smiling at me with the kind of gentle concern usually reserved for wounded animals. "You've been so quiet tonight. How are things going with your computer work?" The question landed on the table like a stone dropped in still water. 28 pairs of eyes focused on me, waiting for an update on the family disappointment's latest attempt at finding direction. "It's going well," I said simply, the same response I'd been giving for 8 years. David's laugh cut through the polite silence like glass breaking. "Going well? Aunt Susan, Natalie has been saying her computer thing is going well since Obama was president. Meanwhile, she's still living in that same studio apartment and shopping at Target." The familiar sting of public humiliation washed over me. Around the table, successful Chin family members regarded me with a mixture of pity and barely concealed frustration. "Now, David," Mom interjected, but her tone suggested she agreed with the assessment. "I'm sure Natalie is doing her best with whatever it is she does all day." My best. As if developing the most secure blockchain infrastructure in the world was just doing my best. As if creating a company that protected $2.3 trillion in digital assets globally was some kind of hobby project. "The problem," Mom continued, settling into her favorite topic, "is that Natalie has never understood the value of stability. Look at David. He followed a traditional path, built a solid career, made partner at a prestigious firm. Michelle married a successful doctor, built a family, contributed to her community. That's what success looks like. Exactly, David agreed, warming to the theme. I keep telling Natalie she needs to stop chasing these fantasy tech jobs and find something real. Something with benefits, security, a clear career path. I tried to get her an interview at my bank, Mom added. They're always looking for qualified administrative assistants. Good benefits, stable income, room for advancement if she applies herself. Administrative assistant. I had a PhD in computer science from MIT and had revolutionized digital security protocols, but my mother thought I was qualified to answer phones at her old bank. That's very generous, Michelle chimed in with sisterly concern. Natalie, you really should consider Mom's offer. You're 31 years old. It's time to start thinking practically about retirement planning, healthcare, building a real future. A real future. While they were discussing my need for stability, CryptoVault was processing security protocols for over 300,000 businesses worldwide. My fantasy tech job had generated more revenue than their careers combined would produce in a lifetime. I appreciate everyone's concern, I said carefully, but I'm committed to my current work. Committed to what? Mom's patience was clearly wearing thin. Natalie, what are you actually committed to? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're committed to avoiding responsibility. The accusation hit the table like a slap. Around us, family members shifted uncomfortably, but no one disagreed. You're 31 years old, Mom continued, building momentum. You live in a 400-square-foot apartment, you drive a car from 2016, you shop for clothes at discount stores. Your lifestyle hasn't improved one bit since college. Each observation was accurate and completely missed the point. I lived modestly because I reinvested every dollar back into CryptoVault's expansion. My car was reliable and efficient. Why waste money on status symbols when I was building something revolutionary? My clothes came from Target because expensive designer outfits seemed counterproductive when I spent 18 hours a day writing code. Meanwhile, Mom went on, David owns a $3 million house and Michelle's family vacations in Europe twice a year. They've built real wealth, real security. They have something to show for their efforts. Something to show for their efforts. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to my primary investment account, the one that held just a fraction of my total portfolio. The balance showed $127,458,691.33 in liquid assets, not counting the CryptoVault equity that was worth another $220 million. But I didn't show anyone. Not yet. The truth is, Mom said, her voice taking on the disappointed tone I'd heard countless times over the years, you're going to be poor forever if you keep chasing these stupid dreams. Stupid dreams. The blockchain security system that protected digital wallets for Fortune 500 companies was a stupid dream. The artificial intelligence protocols that prevented cryptocurrency theft were stupid dreams. The platform that had made digital assets safe for mainstream adoption was a stupid dream. Mom, I said quietly, my work isn't a stupid dream. Isn't it? She laughed, but there was no humor in it. Natalie, you've been working on computers for 8 years with nothing to show for it. No promotion, no raise, no advancement, no recognition. You're exactly where you were when you started. Actually, I began. Actually nothing. Mom's voice rose slightly, drawing glances from other diners in the restaurant. It's time to face reality. You're not going to become some tech millionaire. You're not going to revolutionize the computer industry. You're not going to prove us all wrong with some miraculous success story. The words hit like individual hammers. You'll always be poor with those stupid dreams, Mom declared, her voice carrying across the private dining room. Grow up and get a real job. The silence that followed was absolute. 28 people watching a mother publicly destroy her daughter's aspirations at her own birthday dinner. I felt something snap inside me. 8 years of building something extraordinary while my family treated me like a charity case. 8 years of revolutionary breakthroughs dismissed as stupid dreams. 8 years of being worth hundreds of millions of dollars while they worried about my poverty. Mom, I said, my voice calm despite the earthquake happening in my chest. You want to know about my financial situation? I know about your financial situation, she replied dismissively. You can barely afford rent. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app and turned the screen toward her. This is my bank balance, I said simply. Mom squinted at the phone screen, her expression shifting from irritation to confusion to complete shock. $127 million, I said clearly, making sure everyone at the table could hear. That's just my liquid savings account. It doesn't include investments, equity, or business assets. Mom's cake fork dropped from her fingers, clattering against her dessert plate. Where did you? She started, her voice barely above a whisper. Where did I get $127 million? I finished. From my stupid dreams. The silence in the private dining room was so complete I could hear the air conditioning humming in the walls. David stared at my phone screen like it might be displaying hieroglyphics. Michelle's mouth had fallen open. Aunt Susan actually reached for her reading glasses to get a better look at the numbers. That's impossible, David said finally. Banking apps can be edited, photoshopped. This has to be some kind of joke. I opened my investment portfolio app and showed them the summary screen. This shows my diversified holdings. Another $190 million in stocks, bonds, real estate, and cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency. Mom's voice cracked. Among other things. But the really valuable asset is my company equity. I scrolled to another screen. CryptoVault is currently valued at approximately $2.1 billion. I own 38% of the company. The math was simple enough for everyone to follow. 38% of $2.1 billion was nearly $800 million. Combined with my liquid assets and investments, I was worth well over $1 billion. CryptoVault. Michelle repeated the name like she was trying to remember where she'd heard it before. The blockchain security company. We protect digital assets for over 300,000 businesses worldwide. Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, major cryptocurrency exchanges. If you've ever heard of Bitcoin or Ethereum being secure, you've heard of our work. But David struggled to find words. You're Natalie. You live in that tiny apartment and drive that old car and shop at Target. I live modestly because I reinvest profits back into business growth, I explained. Rapid scaling requires significant capital allocation. Expensive cars and large houses seemed counterproductive when I was building revolutionary security protocols. The explanation seemed to make everything more surreal rather than less. Natalie, Mom said slowly like she was talking to a stranger, are you telling us you're a billionaire? Approximately, yes. Forbes estimated my net worth at $1.2 billion last month, but they missed some assets. Forbes. Aunt Susan's voice was barely audible. They did a feature on young tech entrepreneurs. I was number 7 on their list of self-made billionaires under 35. The silence stretched on until it became almost unbearable. But why didn't you tell us? Mom asked, her voice full of confusion and something that might have been hurt. Why let us think you were struggling? The question I'd been dreading for years. When was I supposed to tell you? I asked. During your lectures about getting a real job? During David's speeches about facing reality? During Michelle's suggestions that I consider administrative work? The truth settled over the table like smoke from an explosion. For 8 years, I continued, every family gathering has been an opportunity for all of you to explain why my life choices were wrong. Why I needed to abandon my stupid dreams and find stability. Why I needed to be more like David and Michelle. I picked up my phone and closed the banking apps. What you didn't know is that while David was building his law practice, I was building a company that revolutionized digital security. While Michelle was starting her family, I was creating technology that protects trillions of dollars in assets worldwide. While you were all worrying about my financial future, I became worth more than everyone at this table combined. The weight of that realization settled over the room. The really ironic part, I added, is that David's law firm uses CryptoVault to secure their client data. Michelle's husband's medical practice uses our protocols to protect patient information. The bank where Mom worked for 30 years now relies on our security systems for their digital transactions. David's face went pale. Our firm uses CryptoVault? Contract signed 3 years ago. Your managing partners were very impressed with our security protocols. They said it was the most innovative blockchain technology they'd ever seen. That was you. That was my company. My team. My algorithms. Michelle found her voice. The medical device startup Kevin's investing in. Does it use your technology? CardioSecure? We developed their entire data protection infrastructure. Kevin's investment is actually quite smart. That company is going to revolutionize cardiac surgery using our blockchain protocols. The connections were clicking into place around the table. My stupid dreams weren't separate from their successful careers. They were integral to them. So when you said I'd always be poor, I said, looking directly at Mom, you were sitting in a restaurant that uses CryptoVault to process their payment systems, worried about a daughter whose technology protects the bank accounts of everyone at this table. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Natalie, I had no idea. You had no idea because you never asked. You never wondered what I was actually working on. You just assumed I was failing and built every conversation around that assumption. But the apartment, the car, the clothes. David protested. Strategic choices. When you're building a revolutionary company, every dollar matters. I could have bought a mansion and a Ferrari, but that money was better invested in research and development. You chose to live modestly? Michelle asked. I chose to live purposefully. There's a difference. Mom wiped her eyes with her napkin. Natalie, what have we done? You've spent 8 years treating me like a failure, I said gently. 8 years of family dinners where you compared me unfavorably to my successful siblings. 8 years of suggestions that I abandon my work and find something practical. I stood up slowly, placing my napkin beside my barely touched dessert. 8 years of telling me my dreams were stupid while I was building something that would change the world. Where are you going? Mom asked desperately. Back to my apartment, I said. The 400 square foot space where I wrote the code that made digital assets safe for billions of people worldwide. I walked around the table to where Mom sat, still stunned by everything she'd learned. Happy birthday, Mom, I said, leaning down to kiss her forehead. I hope 55 brings you a better understanding of what success actually looks like. As I walked toward the door, I could hear voices rising behind me. David demanding to know more about CryptoVault, Michelle asking impossible questions about cryptocurrency, Mom calling my name with a voice full of regret and confusion. But I didn't turn around. I walked through Lou Bernardine's elegant dining room, past tables of successful people who had no idea they were watching a billionaire leave her own mother's birthday party. The maitre d' nodded respectfully as I passed. He'd probably read the Forbes article about young tech entrepreneurs and recognized me. I got in my reliable 2016 Honda and drove home to my modest apartment, where I would spend the rest of the evening reviewing CryptoVault's quarterly performance reports and planning our expansion into Asian markets. Because that's what Natalie Chin, the family failure, did with her evenings. My phone started ringing before I reached the parking garage. First Mom, then David, then Michelle, then various aunts and uncles who suddenly wanted very different conversations with me. I turned off my phone and took the elevator to my studio apartment, the same 400 square feet where I'd written the algorithms that revolutionized blockchain security. The space was small but efficiently organized. 3 monitors for coding, a standing desk for better productivity, minimal furniture to reduce distractions. It wasn't much to look at, but it was the headquarters of a revolution. Through my single window, I could see the city lights spreading out below, millions of people using digital devices protected by technology I'd created in this very room. ATMs processing transactions through CryptoVault protocols. Smartphones accessing encrypted data through my security systems. Businesses transferring millions of dollars using blockchain infrastructure I'd designed. My laptop chimed with a notification. CryptoVault stock had gained 4% in after-hours trading, probably due to rumors about our upcoming expansion announcement. My net worth had increased by approximately $32 million while I was at dinner. I opened my secure communication system and found 17 messages from business partners, government agencies, and Fortune 500 companies wanting to discuss new contracts. The stupid dream that would keep me poor forever was apparently in high demand. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, new ways to revolutionize digital security. The Asian expansion would require careful planning. The government contracts needed detailed review. The artificial intelligence integration project was approaching a major breakthrough. But tonight, for the first time in 8 years, I was free to be exactly who I was. Natalie Chin, successful entrepreneur, blockchain innovator, and former family failure who had just proven that sometimes the people who know you best understand you least. And I was completely at peace with that. My phone, still turned off, was probably collecting dozens of voicemails from family members who suddenly wanted to understand cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, and how their struggling daughter had secretly become one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world. But those conversations could wait until tomorrow. Tonight I had a billion-dollar company to run.